But on this most auspicious of nights, permit me, then, in lieu the more commonplace ripple, to suggest the character of this dramatis persona. Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is the vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice, vouchsafing the volatility, vicious, ferocious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive, not in vain, for the value, veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this Vishours of Verboge veers mere. Let me simply add that it is my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V. Hello, and welcome to Coda's Movie Cave, where today we shall be discussing V for Vendetta. Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. That is his inspiration, of course, Guy Fawkes, who said those words. That's the inspiration for V. That's why he wears the Guy Fawkes mask and the wig and all that good stuff. So, as we say down here in the cave, let's let her rip, potato chip. Ha ha ha! Today, we shall be discussing V for Vendetta. That is right, the 2005 classic comic book graphic novel adaptation written by Alan Moore by the same name, V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta tells the story of a mysterious figure, a terrorist out for vengeance, if you will, known only simply as V, who was tortured and oppressed and imprisoned by the very government he now strikes fear into. V, we don't really get a whole lot in the way of his backstory, other than we know that he was held prisoner and given, torture and experimented on by this totalitarian government in this alternate dystopian future set in England. He's out to make them bleed, he's out to make them pay. And so, yes, this movie is very violent, very dark, very gritty, and very good, in my opinion. It can come off a little preachy at times, but, if you look past that, it is a very exciting movie. Great cast. Hugo Weaving, let me just go ahead and say, puts out one of his best performances ever. And that's pretty good, considering the fact you never see the man's face. It's just his voice that you hear. And he's got such a great, commanding, and theatrical voice, which is perfect for this character because, V is very theatrical and flamboyant and over the top. And so he lends his voice very well to that performance. With that being said, it does kind of drag out in periods at times, setting up the story, but that's okay, because it doesn't feel draggy. It's conducive to the story, of pushing the story forward. You're left wanting to find out more about V. You don't really get it, but you're left wanting more. Natalie Portman does a great job in this movie. I think this is one of her more finer performances. And it's really fascinating to see the dynamic between her character, which is Evie Hammond, and V. How they come together and sort of, she's more or less his captive at first, but slowly she starts to kind of develop a relationship or friendship, if you will, with V. And so that's really interesting to see, and to see her sort of bring out the more human elements of his character. And so, yeah, the action is really good. It's heavily stylized. It's done by the guys who did The Matrix. They kind of came in and consulted and produced this movie. It was directed by James McTeague, I think is his name. So, yeah, it's a really good movie, I thought. Very interesting, very different, and you know, it's a good comic book adaptation, like I said. And so it's a one-off. You know, there was never any sequels, and the way it was made, it was meant to be that. You know, it was just a graphic novel, not a comic book series. Let's see, it's rated R. It's extremely violent, quite bloody at times. It's got some mature themes and elements that's not suitable for the children, language, that, so on and so forth. So it's not really good for the children. Like I said, it came out in 2005, so it's relatively older, but you can still find it in places. It was on Netflix at one point in time. I'm not sure if it still is. I don't believe so. If not, it might be on HBO Max streaming free. If it's not there, you can always find it on the big three: Apple, Vudu, Amazon, and you can buy or rent it. So, anyway, For Vendetta is a very good movie, and I highly recommend it to be watched. It is good and should be seen. It should be viewed by all of you, the citizens of movie fandom. And so, with that said, as we say down here in the cave, this has been my humble opinion, your movie critique and reviewer, bringing you the movies that you want to see, and the reviews that will give you insight of how to view them. Anyway, as we say down here, this has been my humble opinion, and opinions are like butts. Everyone has one, and some of them stink. Ha ha ha. Goodbye.